Tonight, new COVID cases reported in South Australia, one day after the border reopened. And a Port Pirie man caught allegedly driving while under the influence of methamphetamine.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Ruby Kamain begins now.
Good evening. South Australia has recorded its first COVID cases, one of those a traveller since the borders reopened yesterday. The sudden arrival of the cases speeding up the state government's search for more adequate quarantine facilities across the state.
Coronavirus detected in just over 24 hours. Of the new cases, SA Health says one is a result of an old infection and is unlikely to be transmitted, saying a traveller from Victoria is still shedding the virus a month later.
This is not something to be alarmed about. We've got a very well vaccinated community here in our state, and our contact tracers got right onto this positive case, have got all the information they need, and everybody is now in quarantine.
The scare raising concerns about how prepared the state is, with SA Health only opening a tender for various regional quarantine facilities on Monday. The COVID quarantine camps to be placed in Port Augusta, Port Lincoln and Mount Gambier in case of a potential outbreak in regional unvaccinated communities.
This is by and large a disease of the unvaccinated, so when we look at what's happening in our hospitals, we look at what's happening in our intensive care units and those people going on to ventilators, it's by and large those people who are unvaccinated.
SA Health especially concerned about the 53.3% of South Australia's Aboriginal population yet to be vaccinated, saying the facilities would only be used for approximately 10% of COVID positive cases, where people may be unable to quarantine at home, with acutely unwell regional COVID patients continuing to be transferred to the Royal Adelaide Hospital for treatment as part of the pre-existing healthcare process. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The member for Stewart was sworn in as the new acting Deputy Premier of South Australia late yesterday afternoon. During a ceremony with the Governor, Dan Van Holst-Pellicaan was appointed the interim role, largely for administrative purposes, following the sudden exit of the former Deputy Premier. Vicky Chapman stepped down while the Ombudsman continues to investigate her conduct around a decision to not allow the construction of a port at Kangaroo Island. A vote will occur tomorrow amongst the party room to confirm who will officially take on the role of Deputy Premier, with Pellicaan putting up his hand. A man has been arrested after being caught allegedly driving under the influence of drugs in Port Pirie. Just before 3 o'clock this morning, police say they stopped a motorbike on Esmond Road at Risdon Park. The 29-year-old was allegedly driving without a licence and tested positive to methamphetamine. His bike was impounded for 28 days and will face court at a later date. Summer is just a few days away, but you wouldn't know that from today's weather. Far west New South Wales hit with heavy rain, causing roads to close and a warning from authorities to drive to conditions.
When the rain arrived in Broken Hill at the crack of dawn, this is what it left behind. The road to Penrose Park in Silverton underwater, local residents reporting as much as 20 millimetres of rain.
We had a couple of really heavy showers early hours of the morning, one around 3 o'clock and again a little after 5. Just hammered the roof.
Broken Hill woke to 4.8 millimetres by the start of the workday. Roads drying up in muggy conditions, but wherever rain hits, we're warned it'll hit hard.
Places that get thunderstorms out in those districts in particular, they could see that the rainfall totals add up to 100 millimetres.
Roads across the far west closed, while over the border, police issued a warning for drivers on the Barrier Highway, with flash flooding reported between Yunta and Coburn.
It's very hard to give warnings out to the community for flash flooding. So the messages to the community are to know your flood risk, know what risks you might have for your property.
Those around the Flinders Ranges told to prepare for increased rain and potential flooding over the next 24 hours, with totals of up to 100 millimetres possible. La Nina setting up a wet summer across Australia.
And we do know in La Nina years that we do see more floods. We're already seeing more floods in New South Wales, obviously.
Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Still to come tonight, researchers conduct a study to scope out the most effective masks and how to wear them. And new funding set to boost Air Peninsula infrastructure. Welcome back. With travellers from other states and territories now able to enter South Australia, Flinders researchers say now is not the time for complacency. The university part of a mask study showing how to best protect yourself from infection.
With borders down, people are encouraged to keep their masks up. As the state braces for more positive coronavirus cases, Flinders University researchers are concerned poor mask habits may put South Australians at risk.
We have to assume that those cases are going to increase, and so masks are just one of those really vital steps in trying to help prevent the spread of this rather nasty virus.
The university's Medical Device Research Institute has been testing the effectiveness of different types of masks.
We've tested different materials. We've looked at cotton masks, we've looked at silk masks, we've looked at ones made out of shopping bags. We've done a whole load of tests.
Surgical masks coming out on top, followed by double-layered cotton, with silk performing worst. But it's said any mask is better than no mask when protecting against bacteria and infections. The university's research showing that even the worst performing community masks filter out at least 50% of aerosol virus particles.
That's not brilliant, but it's better than nothing.
They say to always sanitize your hands before putting on your mask and to only touch the ear straps when positioning it. Don't touch the mask itself, while ensuring a close fit around your nose and chin, providing the best protection. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The state government has announced new funding for the Peninsula, which will see the development of infrastructure across the region. Part of a record spend of $17.9 billion statewide, Port Lincoln locals can expect upgraded roads and new sport facilities.
Helping to improve road safety on the Peninsula.
Are about widening the roads, making them safer for the extra vehicles that are travelling on the Peninsula roads at the moment.
In the past 4 years, more than $232 million has been invested in the Peninsula, set to make travelling to the region more attractive for visitors.
More and more people are getting out in the regions of South Australia, and there's no better place to go than the Peninsula, and all the way right down there to Port Lincoln.
Here on the Lincoln Highway, $4 million is being invested into the road to create overtaking lanes for travellers. The development will see 8 major regional roads increase their speed limits by 10 kilometres per hour. However, road infrastructure isn't the only thing getting an upgrade.
$3.6 million has been invested into facilities across the west coast there, but $140,000 went into the Ravendale Community Sports Complex to upgrade their floodlighting as well.
With thousands of sport vouchers claimed across the region, Minister Wingard saying local clubs have something to cheer about.
The Lincoln Netball Association and Port Lincoln Gymnastics clubs have also been big winners for grants along the way there too.
Locals can also expect improvements to the shelter at Streaky Bay as well as the Coffin and Arno Bay jetties, totalling $1.5 million. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
18 diggers from World War I have finally been given a headstone in Port Pirie Cemetery after being buried in unmarked graves for more than 100 years. The Headstone Project of South Australia working around the clock to finally give these soldiers a proper resting place.
Once a pile of dirt, now graves, given the recognition they deserve. For more than a century, World War I diggers laid in unmarked graves, leaving distant relatives with no idea who they were.
They have known about but have never met, and they know very little. Some of them didn't even know they had a relative.
Families couldn't afford a headstone during the Depression, or sadly, they had no one to bury them. The Headstone Project and the Port Pirie RSL have now identified these lost diggers through military records. And an emotional experience for all involved, with locals finally seeing the headstone of their great-grandfathers and uncles.
I get a lump in my throat when I get emotional, and I'm starting to get it now because I've got a great uncle who's here.
Bernard Sayfang didn't know about his relation to Private Halvor James Hansen until last week, but remembers the connection to the Hansen name at school.
Jeff is a member of the RSL, and he said Halvor is our grandmother's brother, and I didn't know him. I went to school with a Hansen, it's probably in the family.
Sue Walters used an ancestry website to discover the hidden relative, a digger from Port Pirie.
Coming out here Saturday to find a lady come up to hubby and go, we could be related, has even made it better for him because we didn't know we had any more relatives.
These soldiers can now rest with love. Christian Komenos, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. A Broken Hill community group calls for donations to fill Christmas hampers. And a historic Port Pirie club closes its doors after more than 100 years. Hello again. A number of community groups across the Lower Eyre Peninsula are set to receive a range of grants. The funding helping to improve infrastructure used by locals throughout the region.
11 community groups within the Lower Eyre Peninsula set to receive a boost in the latest round of grants, spending upwards to $50,000.
The grants are a great opportunity for community groups to get projects off the ground.
With a range of different venues selected, Lower Eyre Peninsula Council excited about the local diversity in the area.
It was a really good cross-section of community groups, which is really is what we really hoped will happen.
Many worthwhile organisations applying for funding, the council digging into their pockets.
It's always exciting. We went slightly over budget, but we believe the projects that these groups were wanting to get off the ground were really important and worthwhile.
The Lower Eyre Coast Care Association granted funding for a vital project for the first time.
Looking at Greeny Beach, vegetation restoration and access management in that area, and they do amazing work along that coastline.
While the Coffin Bay Progress Association will also receive more than $2,000 for hall repairs. Council introducing a community funding round with 4 halls applying across the Lower Eyre Peninsula.
We have so many community halls within our district, and this was just another way that council could help them because these halls are maintained by volunteer.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
With Broken Hill families planning their Christmas reunions, comes a call for donations and volunteers to help prepare hampers for those doing it tough. Love Our Community is after some assistance, with more people expected to need help putting food on the table this year.
Bringing comfort to local families this Christmas. Small gestures and simple pleasures, enough to turn somebody's holiday around.
And my focus last year was with the food. It was fun food, you know, not serious like tin chickpea food. It was fun food for Christmas.
Love Our Community once again packaging hampers for those in need this Christmas. While providing a tasty lunch is at the top of the wish list, food items aren't the only donations that'll be welcomed.
Last year I had some beautiful donations of toys and gifts from people. There's a lot of people that donate lots of things. It's been amazing, yep.
They're also on the lookout for volunteers to help put hampers together and give up their time to deliver them on Christmas Eve.
Last year I found myself still delivering hampers at 11 o'clock at night, so I would love some volunteers because I'm a one-man army at the moment.
Around 45 hampers were distributed last Christmas Eve. Early indications suggest this year that number will grow.
From the post I put on Facebook, I've already had people messaging me asking for hampers, which is very interesting. So people are already reaching out for those.
Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
After more than a century of service to the Port Pirie community, the Order of the Buffaloes will sadly close next month. Due to a low number of members, the lodge is being forced to shut its doors, ending a chapter of the city's rich social history.
This hall used to be packed with gentlemen blowing off a bit of steam after work, with a beer, singing a song or having a friendly debate. Now, only 4 members are left in the Order of the Buffaloes, and next month they'll have their final fortnightly meeting to celebrate their time here.
We are not able to get new members, so because of ongoing costs, we've decided that it's time to shut the doors.
The Buffaloes raise funds for schools and hospitals and will most likely sell its hall, the money going to a local charity.
To see any organisation close, and this one is and has been, as I said, been going for 107 years here in Port Pirie.
Graham Gill has been a part of the lodge for more than 50 years and every meeting was a cherished moment.
The best times are just about every meeting, you know, you have a good time. It's time to relax, enjoy. The wife knows you're not going around playing around because it's only men only.
It's not all over for Roger and Graham, ready to join the Port Augusta Buffalo Lodge next month to boost their numbers. Christian Komenos, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll have the cheapest and most expensive spots to fill up your car. And Alex Sykes will join us with the weather forecast. See you soon. Welcome back. Petrol in Adelaide continues to peak at near record prices, closing in on $1.90 around the capital. That's not what's happening in our region though, where many areas have seen the cost of fuel go down. Augusta has this week's Fuel Watch.
It's actually the third week where we've seen prices drop across much of our region. And in fact, this time around, there's only one area that doesn't get petrol price relief. That is Port Augusta, but when you look at the numbers, it's really only a slight increase, not even half a cent, and a litre of unleaded there will still set you back $1.68. Port Lincoln's price drop has shifted the goalposts. Normally Port Pirie is the cheapest place in our neck of the woods to fill up, but not this time, both sitting just under $1.63 a litre, but Lincoln comes off slightly better. Kadina has seen a slight drop, but still $1.65, around the same in Whyalla. Prices have even gone down in Broken Hill, the largest decrease this week, to $1.73 a litre. And on those city prices, you're looking at an average of $1.85 a litre, so best to fill up locally where you can. Port Augusta also seeing an increase on the diesel front, up more than 2 cents to $1.65. Whyalla also going up to $1.66, both of those areas at the pricier end of things. Green arrows elsewhere, you can't split Port Pirie and Kadina as the best options, both under $1.59. Ever so slightly more expensive in Port Lincoln, and once again Broken Hill has seen a drop, down to the lower end of $1.69 a litre. Diesel is around $1.60 a litre in Adelaide, so cheaper than most parts of the Spencer Gulf. Finally, to Autogas, where the mould is breaking. Port Lincoln going up by 2.5 cents to $1.10 a litre, Whyalla up 4 cents to $1.17, and Kadina continues to feel the pinch here, matching Port Augusta as the most expensive, where you'll pay just under $1.22 a litre. City prices are looking better, otherwise Port Lincoln and Broken Hill are your best bets in our coverage area. Now remember that these prices are the regional averages and do not reflect any one particular outlet. And if you do spot unleaded, diesel or Autogas cheaper, be sure to let us know on our Facebook page.
Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Alex Sykes.
Thanks, Ruby, and good evening, everyone. Showers across the region today and a few possible storms for some centres. And as Lockie mentioned earlier, wild weather hit Broken Hill today. Those conditions will be around for a little while longer, but I have some good news for the weekend. But first, from 3 p.m, Port Augusta was 24 today. It was a max of 23 in Kadina, and Cooper Pedy was 18. Looking further out across the region now, while Adelaide, Woodner and Cleve were all 23, Port Lincoln and Broken Hill were both 24. Clare was 20 and Port Pirie reached 25. Taking a look at the satellite image now, thicker clouds moving over the far southeast with a trough and a low is causing rain and showers. Clouds over western areas with moisturing winds are bringing some showers as well, mainly in the southeast. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Variable winds 10 knots, seas below 1 metre, and south to southwesterly swell also below 1 metre. There is a severe weather warning for heavy falls and flash flooding for people in the Flinders and parts of mid-north and northeast pastoral districts. A flood watch warning for these areas and also parts of the Riverland is also in place for tomorrow. Port Lincoln partly cloudy and 19 degrees. Morning shower or two for Cleve, also 19. Woodner, partly cloudy and 25 degrees. Showers easing for Whyalla, 21. Port Augusta, showers also set to reach 21 degrees. Kadina, partly cloudy and 23. Port Pirie, showers easing and 23. Clare, a shower or two and 20. And possible storm and heavy falls for Broken Hill, set to reach a high of 25 degrees there. Taking a look further through the week now, and finally some good weather is in store on Friday. Partly cloudy across most centres, windy in Woodner, 20 degrees, showers for Broken Hill. Taking a look at that all-important weekend forecast now, sunny for Cooper Pedy, Port Augusta and Port Pirie on Saturday, partly cloudy everywhere else, temperatures to sit in the mid-20s. And heating up even further on Sunday, sunny for Cooper Pedy, Port Augusta, Woodner, Whyalla, Port Pirie, Kadina and Adelaide, partly cloudy everywhere else, temperatures in the mid to high 20s. So it looks like we will finally get a taste of some of this weekend, Ruby. Let's hope it continues next week. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. See you soon with an update. It's back to you.
Wonderful. Thanks for that, Alex. And that's all local news this Wednesday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening. The team will be back tomorrow with more local news. Good night.